it's not just women, right? I mean,
Yeah,
men experience that same BS,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the problems with men is that men really need power, right? Everything needs power to survive. Money is power, food is power, sunlight is power. Everything that has any kind of consciousness or sentience, any kind of life, needs power to live, right? The problem is that men recognize power completely differently than women.
Sure.
Women get power by giving, right? They're nurturing, they're loving, they're kind. Now, of course, I'm stereotyping, and I know that, right? But women typically will get power by loving and nurturing. Men get power by taking. That's why we want to test our muscle, and that's why we fight, and that's why we want to stand above people. Well, the thing is that with men in power, if they aren't in their masculine, if they feel like their masculinity is suffering, if they become weak, if they get Parkinson's, for example, or all of a sudden they get fired, or their boss is beating them down at work, they don't feel like they have any power. So what do? They go out and take it. And where do they take it? Unfortunately, it often comes from their family, right? Or they go out and get in fights in bars because they need to feel like a man again. And so that's not how a real man gets power. A real man gets power by letting go of all of those attachments, opening up to the universal force, and being connected with himself and what he believes and what he wants and his own integrity. And when he gets clear with his own integrity, all of a sudden he really truly becomes powerful. The other is just an artificial form of power.
You know, and
it's a temporary form of power.
Sure.
Because you're going to only be strong for so long. But their integrity is not a temporary form of power, right? Integrity is sincere power that will last a lifetime until your last breath.
And Lynn, I want you to chime in on this because you said something and it's made me think. You know, early on, the proverbial broken home, right? My parents split up when I was 2.5, so I was left to be raised by my grandparents. And in lots of ways, got my images of men through my grandparents or what I saw on TV, and later in life, MTV, and then later in life, all the knuckleheads that I would run around with. And it was always one-upsmanship, right? It was a bunch of goofballs, who could, as some old pastor would say, who could punch the hardest, belch the loudest, and cuss the worst or whatever it is. And that model is completely the opposite of what we're talking about. But so that's what I bring to the relationship. That's what I bring to my marriage of 24 years, 20 together, 24 years of marriage. And, early on, thank God she stuck by me and put up with all my nonsense. But to your point about being able to let go and release and not to seek all those things, I believe just being observant and not having to lord over my wife, right, or try to play those traditional roles, but really think about her needs, think about what she likes, what she doesn't like, anticipate what she wants, do those things basically in a freeing manner, I believe, so it allows my wife to flourish, to open up. She becomes more powerful, and in her becoming more powerful, I become more powerful at the same time. I mean,
yeah, no, I totally agree. And what I liked about what PJ was talking about your 5 steps, they're not compartmentalized. So it's not 5 separate steps. And I've never heard it explained that way. They literally just flow into one another. And like you said, then it starts all over again. Like it just keeps going. It's evergreen. And I think realizing that, especially the attitude, then slipping into gratitude and then love, I've never heard that before. And the way you explained it was wonderful, because then I visualized it and I'm like, oh my gosh, people need to know that. They really do, because they think, no, I have gratitude, I have love, I have, all these other emotions. So that's really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess that's why we know PJ is the love guru.
Absolutely.
So let me add to that, if I can, really quick. One of the things that you guys, if you don't know, this is a mammoth of a guy. He's not small. He's huge, right? So, and I make him look even bigger because I am so small. But the thing is that he's not talking about his physical strength at all in terms of his masculinity. He's talking about his service to his wife, which is more important than anything. Because when he serves his wife, he gives her attention. When he gives her attention, her law of reciprocity kicks in. She wants to give back to him. When he receives, he wants to give back to her. It's a closed circuit that just grows tighter and tighter and tighter and more connected. The thing is that in relationship, people get so wrapped up in I can't give because I don't have enough for myself, and because I don't have enough for myself, I'm not going to share with somebody else. And that attitude of ego, that attitude of me over you or me over we, that's problematic, right? But if the attitude is what can I do for you, then all of a sudden you forget about yourself. Now, see, my definition of love is the willing exchange of oneself for one next. The willing exchange of oneself for one next. And And what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm not worried about me. Babe, what can I do for you? And when he says, babe, what can I do for you? Now there's this unity and this oneness that it opens up and starts because he's forgetting about himself and he's only thinking about you. And then you all of a sudden, you receive and then he does the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, because now there's nothing but reception, right? There's giving and receiving. So many people here that healthy relationships are give and take, right? But they're not. Healthy relationships are not give and take. They're give and receive. There's a profound difference between giving or between receiving and taking, right? If you ever feel taken advantage of, in that moment, that relationship is not healthy. In that moment, doesn't mean it's not healthy all around, but in that moment, somebody's not giving, right? Somebody's only taking. So, or somebody is giving, but then somebody else might be taking and not receiving, right?
You
It's
said
that level of appreciation that allows them to receive.
Yeah.
If you don't appreciate it, you know, we got problems. That's where we got to start for you.
When you said that the other day, that was so profound because you're right. The world always does talk about give and take. Give and receive flips the script, right? Makes you think differently. And exactly the way you described it is what I believe we experienced in our marriage and has allowed us, again, to be together 24/7, 365, less than 6 feet apart. Most people say, how do you do it? I'd kill myself or pull my eyes out. And my only response is, I get it. It works for us. But that's one of the things that we want to share because it is possible when you put things in the right place and in the right order and you do the right stuff over and over consistently.
That's what I was going to say. That's the thing. Not just doing it once, but actually doing it over and over. Like you can't just, it has to continue.
Yeah.